Batista and Michaels, who came face to face with the special guest referee Chris Jericho, having to get in the middle of things so that this match could get officially underway. And as the bell has rung, it's game time. You see that nice shiner on the eye of Batista, courtesy of a right hand. And you also got to wonder what Batista's jaw is feeling like after that sweet chin music from the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. In this match, it's going to come down to the power of Batista and the quickness of Shawn Michaels, which will outdo the other. Well, the power of Batista has given Michaels a chance to regroup on the outside, as Michaels had to take a second so he can figure out his strategy from here. What kind of role is Chris Jericho going to play in this match? That's something you got to wonder. Chris Jericho has had his issues with both of these men. So how does that become a factor or a variable in a situation like this between Batista and Shawn Michaels? But right now, it's just Batista and Shawn Michaels going at it. Chris Jericho's doing a good job, though, nonetheless, keeping it business professional, nothing personal. That was a personal high velocity impact clothesline to Shawn Michaels in the corner, though. And Batista, you just saw him put all the weight you put with his boot on the chest and upper chest throat area of Michaels. Michaels with a chop block to the back of the knee. And a lot of power comes from the legs. The quads are a huge muscle. The knees help keep you standing. And if Michaels can take that away from Batista, he takes a lot of the power away and preventing Batista from connecting with a spine buster or a Batista bomb even. And it's Michaels now using the strength of his legs to work on the arm of the animal, trying to slow down Batista as he starts to hammer away. And now dropping the knee on the shoulder, the left shoulder of Batista. Michaels has found his target, that left arm of Batista. Michaels, always what we've seen time and time again. There's a reason Michaels is regarded as one of the greatest to ever do it. You look at his strategies going into a match. As he picks apart, he finds a weakness and he picks it apart of his opponent. And right now, that left arm of Batista could affect Batista long term in this match. And you can hear Jericho, the special guest referee, if Batista wants to give up. Batista rolling it into a cover for a second there. And Jericho keeping a close call from cover to submission. Jericho going back and forth, making sure he's on target with the right call. Batista has been quite trapped the last few minutes of this match, being in this arm bar. But look at the strength of Batista. Meanwhile, both of these men go to the outside onto the floor as the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, held on. That's a way you can tear your tricep. How Michaels held on to that submission hold, continuing to when they were going over the top to the outside onto the floor. That's how you tear something. That's how serious long-term effects occur. And Batista realized that and had to do something to fight through. And Michaels just sent Batista shoulder first, arm first, into the steel ring post. Michaels realizing he could be risking disqualification here by sending Batista into the ring post. Meanwhile, it's the Animal struggling to get back up to his feet. Jericho's got the count going. But it's Batista who makes it back into the ring in time. And Michaels dropping the knee on the Animal. And Michaels continuing to work on the arm of Batista with a hammerlock locked in. Batista's going to heavily feel that in his shoulders. Look at this hammerlock, half Nelson. Almost had like a cover there when he turned Batista on his back. Oh! And you could tear the tendons, the muscles, the joints. And that could cause some serious damage, nearly hyperextending that elbow of the Animal. Michaels using that rope for extra added leverage on that hammerlock. And if Michaels had held on to the count of 5, he would have been disqualified from this match. Meanwhile, Batista just saw trying to fight back in this. Michaels countering. Michaels very aggressive in this matchup. Michaels realizing he can't let any time in this match go to waste. He's got to stay on the ball. Batista's not somebody you can give any time to breathe. You have to smother your opponent and a not so literal and a literal sense at the same time. It's about keeping on the attack. And look at this armbar over the top. Michaels, all that weight down of his over 200 pounds over the top. That could have ripped the muscle, ripped the shoulder right out of the arm of Batista. And it's Michaels who's making the climb up to the top, measuring up the Animal. Michaels, who has done a good job of staying on the arm of Batista with a double axe handle to the back. Michaels has had a great strategy since the get-go of this matchup. Michaels has got a key lock locked in on Batista. Michaels has been on the offensive gain throughout this match for the majority of it. Batista looking to counter, and he does. With one arm, Batista able to utilize a Samoan drop to take down Shawn Michaels. And now that has created some much needed separation for Batista. But was it enough to do anything for the Animal, as Shawn Michaels is right back on the attack? And Batista turning Michaels inside out. What a clothesline. That Michaels got hit by a Mack train at that moment. Michaels just absolutely laid out by. Let's get another look at this. Like a Mack truck laying out the Heartbreak Kid. And you talk about heartbroken. He was almost just broken and obliterated. And now Batista is all in the offense. And that's what you don't want if you're Shawn Michaels, because once the power comes into play, the intensity starts to ramp up of the Animal. And that running power slam with a result of a 2 count, as Michaels stays alive. Does Batista have the power for it? No, but Michaels turns right into a crossface on the animal. Michaels on the submission hold. Batista caught, center of the ring. Will the animal be forced to tap? Will an animal be tamed? Michaels wrenching back for dear life. Batista trying to hold on. And Batista scratching and crawling. Michaels trying to hold on and fight to keep Batista away for the ropes. But it seems that Batista, who is inching closer and closer, Michaels turns things around, turns it into a cover, realizing Batista was about to make it. And Michaels, we're right back to the center of the ring. Michaels with that crossface on the animal. Michaels showing just how far he is willing to go as he continues to go to work on the animal Batista. Batista is not in a very good way whatsoever. The animal could be fading shortly, but is still showing signs of life, doing everything he can to crawl to the rope. Scratching, crawling, and inching. And Batista finally able to make it to the bottom rope, forcing a rope break, and Chris Jericho creating a separation. And you can hear Chris Jericho enforcing the rules on Michaels. Michaels needs to focus more on Batista and less on Chris Jericho. Michaels trying to break down the arm of Batista. But Batista lifts up Michaels with a sidewalk slam. And, oh, Michaels kicking at it too. And Batista, who has fought through the amount of pain that Michaels has caused him, there's a reason why Batista holds the moniker of being the animal. Batista, look at the size of him. The sheer frame of Batista alone is absolutely astonishing. Meanwhile, just ripping through Michaels with a spear. But it's Michaels who stays alive, just barely kicking out before the 3. Michaels, who kept up, only to be ran right through with a spear by Batista. And Batista with clubbing blows to Michaels. And Jericho telling Batista to get off the top. But it's Batista who meets Michaels right back. Michaels fighting back, trying to knock the animal off the top, and he does. And Batista gets knocked down. And Michaels is in position. We know what comes next. And there's the elbow. And Michaels could be looking to tune the band. And now with the momentum being shifted, it is back in the favor of the Heartbreak Kid, who is now officially tuning up the band as he looks to put Batista away. Sweet chin, no. Into a power bomb. It's the animal Batista who turns things around. A spine buster from the animal to counter Michaels' sweet chin music attempt. And now, here it comes. Nope. One for the Batista bomb, but Michaels coming down may have injured his knee. And this match may end abruptly. And the official Chris Jericho going to check on Shawn Michaels. Batista being told to stay back. And Jericho keeping Batista separated from Michaels. Michaels, who is in dire pain. Oh, a little bit of possum for you. And that was a sweet chin music. Was Michaels really playing possum? But Michaels, who had taken a moment to see how much damage was done to his knee, well, it was enough for a sweet chin music and a 1, 2, 3. Because the Heartbreak Kid is going to celebrate getting a victory at Backlash over the Animal Batista, but it doesn't seem like much celebrating right now with the damage on his knee. And Chris Jericho, who raised the hand of Shawn Michaels. Surprisingly, Chris Jericho having issues in the past with both of these men not getting involved whatsoever. This match was as clean as it could get. These two fought their hearts out. But tonight, Shawn Michaels was able to pull himself up after assessing the damage done to his knee. And the Animal ran right into a sweet chin music and a 1, 2, 3. And the Heartbreak Kid gets the victory here at Backlash.